much for coming. I'm really excited about next 45 minutes. I was just on stage last week in Stavanger in front of 200 people. That wasn't so scary, but being here in front of other professional speakers, I always get nervous. So hey, we're gonna give people like 1 or 2 minutes to join and catch up. And while we do that, I have a few questions here. We have a chat. We're all speakers, so let's just use that today. And while we wait, like, can you answer, like, do you have an agent today? What's your current speaker fee? And what's your goals, especially for the speaking part in 2026? So yeah, let's, also if you want to share in the chat your name, what you speak about, your topic, and the next 45 minutes are just going to be really, 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 really fun. I'm super excited. So yeah, let's give people 1 minute to join, and then we're just gonna jump straight to it. All right, let's see. Oh, exciting. So I don't know if you've been to like webinars before. I've been to a few, and I really hate it when they like spend a lot of fluff and long intros. We have 45 minutes, and I'm just gonna go straight to the point. Oh, hey, we have Simon here from Sweden. Tjena, jag är från Norge, så vi tar på engelska, vi kan take on English. Sales, marketing, strategy, and AI. Okay, AI is super in demand now. Sales too. I know some really badass speakers there. Simon, nice to meet you, and thanks for joining us today. Okay, so who's this webinar for? Let's go for that. This is for speakers. You already have experience. You want more consistency, and you want to get better clients and fees. This is not for hobby or beginner speakers. If you are just beginner, you can still stay. You pick up some gold nuggets, but I just had a friend who tuned into this. He does around 400K a year in speaking, and we had a coffee call yesterday, and he was like, Max, I picked up a lot of gold nuggets for me. We're really going to go in depth about what can drive a speaker career forward. All right. So a bit about me, like I'm from North Norway. I've done over now 740 gigs, around $250,000 speaking fees, been on TEDx, and I had this like feeling like in Norway, then a good speaker fee in Norway is 3K, and I had a feeling like I really want to up to 5K. I really want to be able to do it up to 5K. Okay, wait, I get a message here. My camera is a bit bigger than let me change the layout. There we go, perfect. So, and I wanted like, okay, how can I get from 3 to 5K? So I started to introduce speakers who are already there. I had a coffee with Halvor, which was super interesting. I had a coffee with Solfrid. She did 600K last year as a speaker. You found an agent. And each of these coffees, I was like writing down 10, 15 pages. And I was like, oh my God, I'm learning so much. And I thought like, if this is super interesting for me to learn and it's helping my speaker career, probably other people should learn and hear about this too. So I decided to write a book, insights from 100 top speakers, how they get gigs and how they're great on stage. So I started doing these podcast interviews. Each podcast is kind of a chapter of the book. I've been doing quite a few now. Nils, I'm doing some with agents. I'm doing some with top comedians. I'm having this with Klaus, a crazy speaker from Denmark, a really fun episode. Atle, Formula 1 champion. And I already see now that my speaker rate has quite improved. So today what I'm seeing here is like, I'm seeing these patterns and I'm putting these patterns into the speaker wheel framework. So I'm seeing it's not just one thing, it is kind of a system. So what we're going to cover today is we're going to go through like all the starts with positioning, like who pays you, how we positioned in the market, etc. Then we're going to look at presentation delivery. What stands out of those on stage who get consistently booked. We're going to talk about visibility, like which platform works, is it LinkedIn, email, etc. And then we're going to go into sales and outreach. And then we're going to go into, so here I'm going to share like how I actually reach out to conferences. We're going to look at how to better work with your agent. And at the end, cover like how can you yourself make some nice proof assets like speaker wheel, website, etc. Yeah, I'm sorry about the noise. I'm on an apartment with some entrepreneurs here in Spain, and yeah, it's a bit sorry for that. Okay, and then we're gonna look at, so first positioning, yeah, sorry, we covered all this. And what I see is that if one is off, it feels like driving with a punctured tire. And it's kind of very important to just really fine tune all of this. So, and it's annoying because sometimes you're not even seeing it yourself. So let's start with positioning. First, like who pays you? I want to cover like what we see in Europe, most places that still pay like 3 to 6K, often more, for a short 30-minute talk. Internal events is still the biggest one. This is like also where I get most of my big deals. For example, like recently I spoke at Norway biggest pizza chain. They had 200 franchise leaders, and then like it's still like what I see is like the biggest part of the speaking business. I hope like this few segments we go through now can maybe inspire you to think a bit different of where you sell yourself as a speaker. Another one is associations. This is great if you really like to travel a lot. For example, I just spoke at HSMI. It's a huge organization for travel and tourism. And the cool thing here is that HSMI and all the associations, they usually have different offices across Europe. So if you spoke and you did well at one, you can just contact another one and be like, hey, I spoke in your association in my country. Maybe I can do the same in yours. They have good budgets, and the audience is like a big group of people that are potential buyers. So I love associations. Government, still like one of my favorites. It's like, I always joke, it's kind of feel like of getting your money back early. So very pleasant customer, always pays on time. I just spoke on the biggest hospital in Norway. It was super fun. So it's a great one to. I would say we read the news that municipalities are cutting down on budgets, but they still have good budgets for speakers. At least we see that in Norway. Non-for-profits, it's great because we get exposure. Like they don't have usually the biggest like 6-7K speaker budgets, but I know a lot of speakers across Europe that went to a non-for-profit or an organization. They spoke, and in the audience was the donors, very important people, and suddenly their speaking gig career is just like exploded. Breakfast events, I love this one. This is something you can actively sell yourself as a speaker. So for example, Simon here who worked from sales, and hey, Lucy from Lisbon here. Okay, startups and fundraising. I speak also about startups. I had a startup speech last week in Norway. So Simon, say for example, like you speak about sales and you find sales CRM software in that is Swedish. You can go to them and be like, hey guys, let's do a breakfast event. And you can invite all your customers, and I can talk about the sales trends that happening now in 2026. So usually you're the only speaker. They invite all the customers. It's coffee, it's food, and boom, very good budgets, and it's fun. I spoke here, and when I was walking off, I already had like a LinkedIn message from someone in AstraZeneca. Hey Max, maybe this is interesting, for us to hear. And hey, I got so excited by starting, I forgot about my topic. So when I go on stage, I speak about how to better recruit and lead Gen Z. So every company was recruiting and working with younger people. I come and share tactics and tips with them, how they can better do so. Webinars, this is a very interesting one. I was so negative to do webinars for a very long time. The reason for that was, well, at least my talks are based on humor, energy. It's a lot of jokes. And I felt like when I do it online, I couldn't like see the interaction or feel the laughter. But then someone who's seen me live before in Oslo, they contacted me and like, hey, we really want to do a webinar. All our customers are spread across all Norway. We want to, can you deliver the exact talk we saw on webinar format? And I was like, my agent was like, Max, just do it. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So I went to their office just to make sure it works nice. We met. It was super fun. I did the webinar. I was super nervous, but they liked it. And I was like, okay, this is cool. 1 year later, they call me and be like, hey, Max, the webinar was one of the highest rated we had. Can you do it again? I'm like, sure, but can I do it from my home? They said, fine. So I woke up at 8. I made a coffee. Sat down, did my talk, did my jokes, showed my memes. And like by 9:30, I already invoiced 2,500 euros. I had a good coffee. I made some people laugh. And I was like, you know what? I think I can do more of these webinar things. So if you haven't done paid webinars before, think about adding that to part of your portfolio. Oh, Simon, thanks. Great idea. Yeah, it's such nice. And also, Simon, the cool thing here, again, breakfast seminars, all the clients who come there, if you have a good speech, boom, you can get a few more gigs out of that. All right, we have a lot of people watching. So if those who haven't introduced themselves in the chat, please. Oh, Valeria, I'm so happy you could come. We have a very good friend in common, Svein Harald, speaker of Dear Norway. Valeria, thanks for coming. Those who haven't introduced themselves, use the chat. Later we can send the LinkedIn connect. It's always good to get new friends in the speaking world. Okay, so positioning. Why you? It's a very high competition. So if you look at your LinkedIn, your email signature, your speaker reel, is it very obvious why you are unique and people should book you? Are you communicating clearly with conference businesses? And then this is most important. Look at your copy on everything you have. What changes after your talk? Is your marketing assets focused on return of investment, or is it more about you and I want to share my story? And key line here is if it's more about sharing my story, you should really think about changing the copy to return of investment. So if you book you, what's happening? In my case, you get happier employees, Gen Z, they don't quit that fast. You lead better, you have less friction at work. We're selling them the results after your talk. We're not selling the talk itself. Right? People book us to solve a specific challenge or problem that they have. And I think it's just very important to have that mentality. People don't book a story with product. So in my case, you recruit better, the best people, you reduce turnover and remove friction across generation. One liner, very spot on. Then let's dive into the presentation. Super interesting topic. I often talk about having a signature talk because I see the most successful speakers, they do one speech, they do it well, and they do it again and again and again for many, many years. I call it, when I work with speakers, I call it the hero talk. The hero talk, it's a 20-minute talk where you speak. This is like where Simon or Valeria, you go on stage, you speak for 20 minutes, and you are shining. You're the rock stars. But if the organizer asks you to speak for 30 minutes or 45 minutes, you add a customer interaction with the audience, you have some digital tools to interact with them, but you speak for 20 minutes and you can easily expand. So 20 minutes speaking, 20-minute interaction with audience, 5-minute digital tools. That's what I call the hero model. A good sign about slides and design, the sign of the slides, it matters. The way you look on the screen matters. A good sign is, did someone of the other speakers that day come to you and say, hey, who made your slides? Can you recommend me that designer? They look awesome. That's a very good sign that your presentation is doing good. So my philosophy is always make every slide count. We have to really inspire to that smile. So for example, I'm working with a speaker now and he speaks about decision laundering. So most of us, most speakers, let's not say most of us, but most speakers, they just when they make a new design, they are okay, white background, I put on some text. Maybe we add some GIFs, some movements. Here we can play around. This is a fun word, decision laundering. We can have a lot of creative fun here. If I would do this slide, I will go even more crazy. I'll think okay, how can we mix this and make it really pleasant for the audience? So I'll go probably something like this, decision laundering. Two CEOs sitting in a laundry machine and they are laundering decisions. Now, if you want to take it up a notch, we can even add some motion to it. So we can add something that makes it make it pop, so that when you stand on stage, you have some cool visual effects in the background. So I will go something like this, you stand, you talk about decision laundering, and in the background, you have this, what I call a wow experience. Make every slide count. Most of us, we end up just doing background and text. There's 5 structures. Very surprisingly is, we all been at conferences and there's a lot of speeches out there, without the clear structure. Just by implementing this, if you just take this advice from this whole 45 minutes we have together, I promise you that your presentation skills on stage will be massively wow. So there's 5 structures I really like to work with. One is a 7 trend setup. I just did a talk with this for 7 communication trends with Gen Z. Fast-paced, easy to follow, and perfect for people to follow where you are, and bit-sized takeaways. So I do 2 minutes intro, I have 5 minutes, 7 communication trends, and then I do a conclusion and some tips what they can implement. Very nice format, very nice. You can also have a format with 5 or 3, but we want to stick to the magic numbers. The magic numbers is storytelling: 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, right? Then we have the 2-chapter narrative. This is the one I use for my talk for Gen Z recruitment and leadership. So I have introduction. How did Gen Z become the way they are? Then I go, how can we recruit them? And then okay, we got all this Gen Z in the building. Now how can we lead them? And then I do a wrap up. 3-chapter narrative, story driven. And this is so easy to expand into workshops and longer talks. Then you have the problem mistake solution. Like what's happening? Like what's the problem today? Like, okay, real world consequence of bad generation leadership. Then the common mistakes businesses do, solution, and a call to action. This feels like a TED talk. It appeals to logic, emotion, and urgency. Also a very beautiful format. Then you have before and after. Like for example, I'm going to use Simon as an example. Lucy, or maybe Lucy, like we can use your example here. So for example, like you can go like, hey, before when you were building a startup, you needed to raise 200,000 euros. You needed to 12 months to build an app and then go to market. That didn't work. Now with vibe coding, all of this AI, the whole game have changed. So now you need to raise this, you need to move like that. So the before after is a very, very nice scenario. Action formula, this works good if you're a coach and you have a unique way. So maybe for you, Lucy, if you have an interesting way of like raising capital, like you have your own success formula for founders and fundraising, this could also work in this case. I'm curious, which one is your favorite of those? Drop a comment in the YouTube chat. That would be great. Yeah, which one did you like the most? And then again, you want to make a talk that you can use over again. And here I'm going to use the example of the Phantom of the Opera, one of my favorite musicals. So I was 3 years ago in London. I went to this musical. I absolutely loved it. It was amazing. And then if I go back there 3 years later now and say I have a girlfriend, I take her with me, I want to see the exact same music. I want to see the exact same actors. I want to go to the exact same show I had 3 years ago. And this is what happens when you have a keynote. You go on stage, people see it, and they want the exact same thing. And when you have one keynote, you become freaking good at performing it. So you become a rock star doing it. And don't get worried about that people have seen it before. It doesn't happen. So that's why we talk about the hero keynote. You make one good presentation, you stick to it. Every time you adjust maybe 4 or 5 slides to make it a bit more customized, but that's it for customization. You're talking there about the main idea. Okay, as you see, I'm very passionate about this hero topic. And just one thing, when it comes to design, like no bullet points. Like if you can go back today through the slides and just delete all bullet points, you're doing everyone who are going to listen a big, big favor. Hey guys, let's use the chat. Like if you're super curious to hear like which one of these formats that landed well with you. Then clear promise and outcomes. Start with the value. Like this is an opener I really, really love to use with the conferences. And it really reduces the amount of work you have to do in terms of customization. So when I go, and this is especially with an internal event, I go there and I speak to the HR director in the meeting before the conference. I talk which problems they have. So when I go on stage, I go like, hey, I spoke to Marianne and I heard there's a lot of challenge here, that there's a lot of friction between the generations. And today we're going to cover that in my talk. I'm super excited. What happens then? The audience understand that, hey, this is not just some random speaker who comes and does his talk. This is a speaker who understands our business, understands our challenges, and he's here to actually help us. That just makes everyone, boom, really tune in on what you're going to say. It's one of the best openings, in my opinion, that you can do on a conference, and super easy one. Then stories, like stories that create belief. Arman is one of my best friends in speaking industry. He's Speaker of the Year. I've seen him live, and it's insane. He makes 400 business leaders cry. He makes them laugh, and he makes them shocked. He's insane storytelling. I actually recorded 20-minute masterclass with him. We will send it out to everyone. I watched it like 8 or 9 times already because I'm like, after this, I'm like, okay, I need to step up my game with storytelling. But the good question is to ask, do you make people laugh? This is the easiest one. Just put it in me. But do you make people laugh? Do you make them cry? Or do you shock them? Or best of all, you can do all 3. So stories are becoming more and more important part of presentations because the audience have higher and higher expectations in terms of being entertained. Okay. So Valerie, thank you so much for that. Cool. Amazing. Wow, with so many cool speakers here today. Thank you all for joining, and I hope so far it's been so good. My last tip here is before this is like I had a good podcast with Cecile, a very famous comedian in Norway. You probably know her, Valerie. he said like the best way to add humor is look at your presentation, find the most boring part where you are bored telling it and it's very dry. That's where you should start to add humor. So, avoid timing and presence. The worst thing you can do is go over time. I know some speakers who got like 4 gigs and say inside one organization, they went over time and then they were canceled. It's the biggest idea, biggest mistake. I usually say like if you have 30 minutes and you're worried about timing, you rather do 28 minutes and you finish 2 minutes earlier. You do a Q&A and okay, no questions. Okay, I go off. Then go over time. This is the worst mistake you can do. It's so painful and can cost you dearly. Audience engagement. I was at a speech with Erik Dormer Hansen, one of the best speakers in Norway. I'm not exaggerating. Like it was speaker of the year, one of the best speakers in Norway. And he showed us Slido. Slido is an amazing tool you can use to do audience interaction. So I use a function here called the word cloud. So this one here, and I also use the quiz function here. And when I lead panel discussions and I'm MC, I use a Q&A. But the word cloud is a great way to engage the audience. So I usually use this one. There is a QR code, and it's a place they can scan, and then they can also enter the site. They don't need to download any apps. And I say to them, hey everyone, before I start, I want to get a feeling of what do we actually think about Gen Z in this room. Like now's the time to share. Be completely open. It's anonymous. Just say on your heart what you think about Gen Z. Do you think they're lazy, tech savvy? And then I let people answer. And the first 30 seconds, I also have music going. I discuss that with the technical person. And then people say like lazy, entitled, or like forward thinking, hardworking, all of this. And we get this big word cloud. And then I joke. I'll be like, guys, I joked. It's not anonymous. Somebody's going to get a phone call from HR tomorrow. And then people laugh. And I'm like, yeah, am I joking? Or we continue. But then everybody is 100% awake. Visibility. So we covered the presentation. We're moving over to visibility. So I would say the best thing is still like execute it through LinkedIn and referrals. So the most important is to signal clarity. Like if someone goes to LinkedIn website, do they see what you talk about and what you solve with your talk? Can they get it in 30 seconds? Like what challenge you help solve? And then we have to build authority. There's a few ways you can build authority that are nice. One, okay, it's clear. Sorry. For example, you can go like, hey, I did this research. Like in my case, I interviewed 125 Gen Z in Scandinavia. So I can talk about, hey, I did this 125 interviews. This is what I found. Great. So doing some research positions yourself as an expert. You can be, hey, I interviewed top 20 CEOs, and this is what they see is shifting in 2026 when it comes to sales. I studied 50 books about negotiation. This is what I found, right? So just try to position yourself out there as an expert on your theme. We can also borrow credibility. Like we can, hey, I just interviewed huge VP of a strategy at X company like Deloitte. This is what I learned. So just try to really show that, hey, I really know what I speak about. And it's all about pattern. Like LinkedIn is about consistency. So I always ask, usually in the podcast speakers about like, so what do you do with LinkedIn? There's a lot of things happening there right now. It's a lot of AI content. It's a lot of competition. People are feeling that their likes are going down, that the reach is going down, but still people are betting hard on it. And I would still say that in 2026, it is one of the best platforms to be on just because you can hit really relevant people who can book you. It takes time, but it pays off. So that's visibility. Now we jump into sales and outreach. I really prefer direct outreach. So this is what most speakers tell me. Like they're really good at spotting opportunities, contacting the conference and get a meeting and then close a deal about the speech. And the thing that works is still a good old email and phone. So my weekly sales routine. I go to Monday, I identify 10 companies or conference I can help. And this is 10 companies I genuinely believe that, hey, if they book me, I will be a perfect fit for their conference. So then I find 10 companies. Oh, thank you. Then I reach out over email, LinkedIn on Monday. I add them. I send them a short email. I use Google the deep research on ChatGPT to find them. So for example, 1 week I go HR conferences, and 1 week I find similar companies as Pizza Buck and Westbrook. So I try to find relevant gigs to where I've been before, right? So for example, here I asked the deep research function, the thinking, find 10 HR leadership conference Denmark 2026, include phone number, email, date, and name, and then spends like 20, 30 minutes thinking, and boom, I get a list of all the conferences with the person contact number. And I use Apollo IO to find numbers if they don't display in the ChatGPT. And then I put them in a simple sheet like this. So this is my Google sheet. I have it like divided by each week. So company name, person, email, phone, URL. Monday, I check that I sent Adam LinkedIn. Monday, that I sent an email, and Friday, phone call. And the beauty about this is it's so easy to do the phone call. You don't feel like you're selling. It's basically, I call them and be like, hey, it's Max here. I sent you an email on Monday. Did you get it? Right? So it's so easy to really just start that dialogue. And it works. It really gets me meetings and it gets gigs. So the way I structure my emails is I try to make it look like not a sales email. I try to make it look like it's really made for me to the speaker, to the person, because it is. It's not a mass email. So if you see it here, I say, hey, tjena Patrick. And this was Espresso House. It's like Starbucks of Sweden. So I write tjena Patrick. So I write tjena in Swedish, hi. I just had a talk with 200 franchise leaders in Pizzabacken, same industry as Patrick, about this. Feedback was strong. Are you planning any bigger leadership gatherings this year with your location or franchise owners? And I write, by the way, I used to have a coffee subscription in Norway, loved it. And I did. It's true. If you ask for a receipt, I can send it. I'm always 100% honest in everything I do in life. So this is short email. Most speakers, when they email, they try to sell themselves. They send a long resume, CV, their speaker reel. They send everything. I'm just asking a question. Hey, have you booked all the speakers? And it works as a charm. Friday, I call those with reply. And in the call, I'm not selling myself. I sell the meeting. I'm like, hey, can we sit down for a coffee and see if I can help either your business or I can help the audience at your conference. Another amazing thing that works is I use a program called AimFox. I'm not going to go in detail so much, but I'm probably going to upload a guide how I do it. So AimFox is a LinkedIn tool. So I go to AimFox and then I go to Apollo. Apollo is a database of businesses. Here I find like 1,500 HR directors that are relevant to me, food industry, technology, where I speak. I upload these leads to AimFox. And then AimFox starts to automatically connect with them on LinkedIn, send them a message, and start that discovery. And I use the same philosophy as an email. It's just like, hey, Max here, speak about Gen Z. Curious, are you doing any internal events this year? So no selling, just very short human messages. When you combine that, your LinkedIn base of HR people who book speakers grow. And when you then put out content related to you, that's a very magical combo, I think. Okay, I forgot I had these slides. Oh my god. Okay, yeah, AimFox, LinkedIn, boom. Sorry guys, it's been a very long day. Okay, so our posting, I would say 2 to 4 videos, 2 to 4 articles, more than plenty per month. And most important is like to engage with the audience. How is it so far? Is it interesting? Is it something where like some ideas got sparked? By the way, I use Canva. If somebody thought about it, I use Canva for all my presentations. How is it going so far? Are we excited? Are we going to get on stages this year? Yeah, let's see. It's so cool. Yes, Simon. Yes, amazing. Thank you for that. You guys are great, and I'm really happy about the session that you all guys came. Okay, so booking conversations. Like during the meeting, I usually go 90% about them. I ask them, hey, why are we having this meeting? Why are you considering me as a speaker? What is like what's the problems you have? Any other AI tools you're using? Yeah, I use Nano Banana to create awesome slides. I have a subscription to Envato Elements to create beautiful video GIFs. And that's it. And then I have like ChatGPT for brainstorming. But great question, Simon. Simon is asking any other AI tools you are using. So in the meeting, 90% about them. And here's the important part, like follow up the closest. After you had a meeting, you should be on top, but not too pushy. I usually follow up with an email and call, ask how the decision making is going, and I propose some ideas. I say like, hey, we can also run a giveaway from this stage. I'm really excited about being on this stage because I really think I can help. You want to show that you're really excited about this speaking gig, but don't bombard them. Don't oversell, but show that you're excited. and to take it serious. They're maybe considering 6 to 10 speakers for a slot. And this is something that changed the last 2 or 3 years. I speak to a lot of agents in different countries and they say the same thing. In bigger companies, a lot of decision making has gone from one person to suddenly you have a committee of 5, 6 people, 5, 6 people, different opinions. I don't like Max, or he has a stupid mustache, or I don't think this speaker is better. Something, there's a more committee work deciding on the speakers for internal events. So you really want to stand out and be on top. And I lost a gig in was November or December because I was not on top, and it still hurts. I still wake up and why didn't I go more active? It was just So what happened was there was a conference. They were considering 3 speakers, and I knew the other speakers, the great speakers, but I knew for this conference I would be the best fit. And I talked to and then like my agent was handling this, and they're amazing. But at the end, the client decide, and they went for another speaker. And I asked my agent, "Hey, should I have contacted the customer because they haven't met me? They just like looked at my profile, etc." And I was like, "Should I have met them and introduced myself and talked about your conference?" And my manager Neil said, "Yeah, you probably should, because Max, you don't oversell. You're there to listen. Some speakers can be aggressive and they scare the client." But that was a big learning for me, that be on top, not pushy, but be on top. And I'm still sad I lost that gig, because that would be a very fun gig in the mountains of Norway. Yeah, okay, enough sad. Pricing, free rules the market. If you're a beginner, here, but the average speaking fee we see in Europe is 2 to 5,000 euros. Above 5,000, it is possible. I work with those speakers who are there, but it's kind of like more full-time speaker, or you have a bestseller book, etc. But I would say that in Norway, 3,000 is good. In general, in Europe, when you go like Germany and France and UK, we're tilting more towards 5,000. Now we go to agents and scale. So work with agents. 2023, I got a prize, Årets Rakett, Rocket of the Year. So among 700 speakers at the agency that represent me in Norway, Tallesen, I had the highest growth in booking. And just this year, I had like over 25K coming in now from Tallesen. And I think the reason this worked out is because I always been on top. So I meet Nils and the team maybe 3 to 4 times a year. I discuss the direction, what do we see in the market, what should I improve? And if they say, Max, you need a new speaker reel, I make a new speaker reel. And another thing that worked really well is I've been loyal for 10 years. So if I get an inbound gig that comes to me, I notify them and we do it together. So when I see speakers complain that they don't get deals from their agent, and this happens a lot, this happens so much, is I ask, okay, how many gigs have you sent your agent? And they 0. I'm like, how many times have you taken your agent and all their salespeople out for a lunch and treated it? I know speakers who invited their whole agency to their house and cooked Christmas dinner for them. Like, hey, an agency is not just someone who sells something for you. An agent is a part of your team, of your speaking business, and you're building this business together. So you need to establish a solid relationship. I recommend you check out the podcast I did with Niels. He talks about how to work well with an agent. But once you make it work, it's amazing. Like, I'm just getting gigs all the time coming into my email. I have a gig 3rd of June in Bergen, Norway. I have not met the customers. I don't know who they are, what we're going to do, but they already signed the papers. Everything is invoiced. All is good. It's crazy. So getting an agent, bring them business. Do everyone here has an agent? Like, what's the feeling in the room here? Simon, Lucy, Valeria, are you represented, or are you running solo? I'm curious. Let's see. But getting an agent, like, I have a good template here. Like, hey, most speakers usually reach out asking to be put on the list. That's what I'm doing here. I just got booked to a gig. This is the budget. I've been thinking to get an agent, and this feels like a natural place. I'd love you to handle the final the details and take your cut. Low risk, real opportunity. Chance to see if we work well together. I had one speaker I work with, and he sent this to an agent, and they replied, I wish more speakers were like you. Right? It was a really cool moment. So this is a nice way, because the fact is that speaker agencies today are overwhelmed by people who contact them and say, hey, I want to be listed, I want you to represent me. So uh, I think Tallisten now in Norway started to charge 600 euros for you to come in addition, because they don't have the capacity to listen to all the speeches. Um, so that's like, it's a big thing to think about. But Valeria, I would definitely recommend you to get a speaker, because I get an agent, because once you get it, it's just, you just get gigs in. An agent, where do you get agent names? Just Google them and try to find one in each country. Bad experience with having multiple agents in one, because they don't like it. So find one in each country. You can go in Denmark, Athenas is good. Sweden, you have Booking, Athenas is good. In Norway, Tallinn is the best. If you bring the business, you have a good chance of getting listed. Bring them business and they will bring business to you. How should you meet them? I would say 3 to 4 times a year. Same with Niels. Then if you go international, same thing. Like you do what I saw in the beginning, you email, you call, you get gigs. And once you get a few gigs, say in Finland or UK, wherever, then you can bring them to an agent and build a partnership. So long-term strategy, like niche down, fewer markets are better than going too wide, because if you plan to go to 20 countries, 20 agents, meet them 4 times a year, you have to really be speaking full-time then. Yeah, a great question there. Thank you. Last chapter here, proof and assets. Wow, it's been 35 minutes. This is insane. It's been going good. Speaker reel, like I analyzed a lot of reels. I talked to agents like, hey, what do we put in a speaker reel? And the best length is 1.5 to 2 minutes and consists of 5 blocks. And you can film it yourself. You can find an editor online and make it nice. 5 important blocks. One is the opening hook. So what is the situation? Like Simon, for you, like sales marketing is changing every day, faster than ever with new AI tools. Marketing managers are struggling to keep up. And then boom, we create, like we set the scene in the opening. That's what we do. Then by you, like Simon, like, okay, I've worked with sales for the last 20 years. I'm deeply involved in AI. I'm an AI geek, like boom, 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 why you? The promise of your talk, if you book me, this is what's gonna happen. Like in my case, leaders, you'll get like reduced turnover, better lead them across generations, etc. Proof that it works is like businesses that I've spoken with tell me this and that, or like the audience always leave energized. Like what do people say about your talk? Your signature style, I usually have here always like no white slides or boring bullet points. Why? Because everybody is terrified. Everybody's terrified of booking a speaker that has a boring speech and just, gonna have boring white slides and boring bullet points. Call to book you, like, hey, let's meet down and sit for coffee. Website, just go for a 1-pager, very simple. Like mine is like helping companies recruit to the room, where I've been featured, watch my speaker reel, text about me, my 3 talks, how to recruit, the Gen Z playbook communication, and that I'm MC, have the testimonials, let's work together. That's simple. So it's very, 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 very straightforward. Less is more, basically. Media kit, have speaker bio, photo, social media. I talk about Gen Z, so I just took some new headshots, but speaker bio, focus on the outcome. Like, don't tell where you went to kindergarten, focus on the outcome. Like my new headshot, Gen Z. Just joking. I just did a headshot, cost me like 30 euros in Barcelona, and I've been using this for 3 years. Have something where you smile, energy. People like people who smile, just have high energy. You can be on stage. This is of Niels. Very good example. Keynote description, again, focus on the value you're providing. Focus on why you and the value you're providing. Not so much what you're going to talk about, but like what shifts you're going to spark to the audience in the conference or at the company. So yeah, the speaker wheel. I think it's a really cool model. I just did this talk live in Oslo, outside Oslo, for 25 speakers, and everybody was pictures and a lot of ideas. And I hope you also got that. And I have a little surprise for free for those who join here now. Let's go through here. Like, yeah, you're now ahead of the majority of speakers. Like, consciously what you should think about in order to really make sure your speaking business is not running on a flat tire. right? Just make sure, spend every week fixing it a little bit here, fixing a little bit here, here, and here, and just make sure your wheel is solid. So like now more than a lot of other speakers out there in conferences, and everything today, like positioning, presentation, you can do yourself, and you have kind of like two choices. You can do it on your own, and then you have these two ways. One is learn everything and figure out design yourself. You start learning marketing, graphic design, or you start, but it kind of drains the focus and it's very time consuming. And in reality, the best asset you have is your speech. And that's the one that's going to get you rebooked. So every hour you spend learning design, you should really spend on learning, on practicing your speech and make it better. You can also go second option, is hire agencies or freelancers. And this is a bit tricky. I did it. The challenge is that a lot of designers for presentation are used to make like corporate design, which is not wow. And it's just hard to find really good people out there. It's really hard to find the professionals who really understand the speaking industry. So neither option is kind of free from the work. So real question is like, how can you do it and you get the most out of your time? So I struggled with this because like during my podcast interviews, I looked at my slides and I'm like, okay, I've been doing this in Canva. I think I'm doing this good, but it wasn't nice. And then I looked at my speaker reel. I'm like, okay, I knew for many years I needed to update it, but I just didn't knew who to hire. So I needed a team that could really understand this. And I ended up like finding at the end a really good designer, a really good editor, a really good copywriter. So I accidentally kind of built a boutique creative studio. And we've been working with a lot of speakers lately, helping them with the presentation design, how to reach out, how to have a good speaker reel. So all the assets we kind of talked about now. So for example, I worked with Billy, he's a world champion boxing, around 9-10K pounds per speech. We made him a beautiful, powerful presentation that just really stands out. And he said like the feedback was insane. We also went from 5 agents to 1 on the strategy. Atle, he won Speaker of the Year in Norway. And for me, it was a huge moment because when he did the thank you speech, I was one of the few speakers he mentioned for good advice during the years. I've been working with Atle on some of his assets, and he's a really good friend. But it's fun to work with people who are the best. And here we made like a really cool presentation for Levi. And what you see here is like we focus on very, very strong visuals and little text. Here's one we made for Nils in Tallinn, my agent. And actually, I did this for Nils in Tallinn agency. And after we did it, he asked if they could send an email to all 500 speakers, like, hey, you should check out Max in the presentation design. So, and also I worked a lot on strategy. Like with Kingsley, he got 1 gig and we managed to make him a business strategy to get more. Like Camille, I have a lot of testimonials. I think I could use the next 30 minutes on just that. But the pattern is always the same. Most speakers are great on stage. They're just missing like 1 or more slides of the speaker will to be more perfect. So what we're offering today, and it's 100% free and zero risk, and I think you're going to like this offer, is a speaker wheel audit. We do a strategy call. We look at your business. I look through your speaker wheel, your website, your reviews, everything. And I give you a plan, what I think you should improve. And then you can choose if you want to work with me on that or you want to go solo. Either way, I love coffee, and I think it's going to be a fun way to meet. So here's what you go away, like a total clarity of what's slowing you down, the 2-3 moves you should make then April, May to faster growth, and I'll give you an offer on how much it will cost to improve those things that aren't working. So who's this for? This is like you're already getting paid to speak. You want more consistency. You want new markets, and you take speaking very seriously, and you want to be best on stage. Like when we make a talk, I really want that feeling that other speaker goes to you and asks you, hey, who did your presentation? That was insanely cool. So and the cool offer I have, like if you book a call today, I have a cool gift. So those who book a meeting today, you will get a completely free LinkedIn overhaul. I will look at your positioning, and you also get a LinkedIn banner design. So it's been a long day. You get a brand new premium speaker banner, headline, bio rewrite, a full review. So how to claim your strategy call, just like book a call down here. I'll show it soon. But hey, look at this. This is some of the best speakers in Norway, and we really made a cool design. We worked on the messaging, the one line. And if you have another business where you do consulting or coaching, we work to combine those messages. But yeah, if you want to shine on LinkedIn and look super professional, this is completely free, no catch. You just got to book like a call today. And remember, information is not what will move you speaking this forward. Implementation is. So let me just share like the book meeting. It's like here. You just go book a strategy call. Right below the video, you can choose the time that fits. Boom, select, and a little bit about what you feeling you're stuck. And we are rolling. Yeah, here I have my number and email too if you need to contact me. All right, do we have any questions? Guys, it's been insane 45 minutes. Insane 45 minutes. And again, worst case, you get a LinkedIn overhaul and we have a fun coffee. I love connecting speakers. Best case, you walk away with a clear roadmap. Any questions? This has been so cool. Wow. Thank you for being active here. I really appreciate it. Okay, Lucy, Simon, or Valerie, or someone else, if you, any questions, I'm more than happy to answer those. Yeah, well, Valeria, you're so good and so talented, and you have this amazing energy. You should definitely like get an agent for sure. Yeah. Oh, amazing presentation! Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh yeah. I try to like not to sell and just like share everything I'm learning through the podcast, what I see work, and yeah. Okay, book a call. Let's have a coffee. Unfortunately, I'm not in Oslo for until June. So if I was in Oslo, Valeria, we could have done it there. But I'm not. So yeah, book a call. And Valeria, actually, yeah, that'd be super nice. So super. Okay, anyone else? Or I'm gonna go and do a workout or something. Yeah. All right, it's a wrap. Hey, we send out the recording. You can look through it. And last thing, the masterclass with Arman, it's so freaking good. Like, it will just completely change the way you think about storytelling. So that's one of the best 20 minutes you can invest into your speech in 2026. It's an amazing masterclass, and it's completely free. I think he only did that kind of masterclass with us, so it's kind of exclusive, but it's just amazing. All right, thank you everyone for coming. This was so fun. I hope you can leave like a quick review. We have like we've been working hard to put together this presentation, and the tech team and everyone. So yeah, amazing. Let's rock and roll. Let's get your ideas out there, and I'm excited to follow the journey. Super. All right. Cheers.